Sometimes the smallest act of kindness becomes the biggest mistake of your life, or the best decision you'll ever make. In a city where people hoard empty chairs like they're made of gold, Lena Nguyen did something unthinkable. She said yes to a stranger. One worn-out man. One simple question. One seat that nobody else would share. She had no idea that her broke, desperate Monday morning was about to collide with billions of dollars, public humiliation, and a test she never signed up for. If you want to see how one decision can flip everything upside down, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The coffee shop smelled like burnt espresso and broken dreams. Lena pressed her fingers against her laptop's cracked screen, willing it to hold together for just one more hour. The brightness flickered. A thin line of dead pixels crawled across the display like a scar. She had a portfolio presentation due in 40 minutes, an interview that could save her entire freelance career, and a machine that was actively dying in her hands. "Come on," she whispered. "Not today." The screen blinked, steadied. She exhaled. Around her, Central Perk Cafe buzzed with the Monday morning chaos of downtown professionals who had health insurance and laptops that didn't require prayer. Every table was claimed, every outlet occupied. People sat alone at four tops, bags spread across empty chairs like territorial markers. One guy had his gym duffel on a seat. A woman used her purse as a chair placeholder. Another had stacked her coat, scarf, and an empty pastry box to build a barrier against human interaction. Lena had arrived at 6:30 to claim her corner table near the outlet. She'd bought a small coffee she couldn't afford and nursed it for 90 minutes while her laptop charged and her stomach growled. The interview was with a mid-sized marketing firm looking for a contract designer. It wasn't her dream job. It wasn't even a good job. But it was 4 months of steady income, which right now felt like winning the lottery. Her phone buzzed, a text from her landlord. "Rent is 3 days late. Need payment by Wednesday or we start eviction process." She closed her eyes, opened them, shoved the phone into her bag. The cafe door chimed. A wave of cold November air swept through, carrying the smell of rain and exhaust. Lena glanced up reflexively, then back at her screen. She was adjusting the kerning on a poster layout when she felt someone stop beside her table. "Excuse me." She looked up. The man standing there looked like he'd been through something. Not homeless, but close to the edge. His jacket was decent but worn at the cuffs. His jeans had a small tear at the knee. His hair needed a cut. His face needed sleep. He had a leather messenger bag slung over one shoulder and a paper coffee cup in his hand. His eyes were tired but alert, scanning the packed cafe with the quiet resignation of someone used to being turned away. "Is anyone sitting here?" He gestured to the empty chair across from her. Lena followed his gaze around the room. Every single table was playing the same game. Empty chairs, full bags, cold stares. She should say no. She needed to focus. She had 28 minutes left to finish this portfolio, triple-check her files, and compose herself for the video call that would determine whether she made rent this month or started packing boxes. "No," she said. "Go ahead." He blinked, like he'd expected rejection, and didn't quite know how to process acceptance. "You sure?" "It's a chair. Sit." He sat. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. Lena returned to her screen, adjusting colors, tweaking layouts. Her hands moved fast, muscle memory taking over while her brain ran worst-case scenarios. The interview. The rent. The laptop that could die any second. The credit card she'd maxed to pay last month's bills. The freelance clients who ghosted after requesting revisions. The student loan sitting in deferment because she couldn't even touch the interest. Across from her, the stranger pulled out his own laptop. Older model, nothing fancy. He set it on the table, opened it without fanfare, and started working. No phone call, no loud typing, no intrusive questions, just quiet presence. Lena appreciated that. At 8:47, her laptop froze. The spinning wheel of death appeared. Her chest tightened. "No, no, no, no!" She tapped the trackpad, pressed keys. Nothing. The screen went black. "Shit." She said it louder than she meant to. A couple at the next table glanced over, annoyed. She didn't care. She held down the power button, counted to 10, released. The startup chime played. The Apple logo appeared. The progress bar crawled. Across from her, the stranger looked up but didn't say anything. The laptop restarted. Lena opened her files. Everything was still there. She had 19 minutes. Her hands were shaking. She forced herself to breathe, finished the last slide, exported the PDF, uploaded it to the shared drive, checked the link 3 times, opened the video call platform and tested her camera. She looked awful. Hair pulled back in a messy bun. No makeup. An old sweater with a coffee stain she'd tried to hide under a scarf. She angled the camera higher, adjusted the lighting, prayed they wouldn't notice the exhaustion carved into her face. At 9:03, the call connected. 2 people appeared on screen. A middle-aged man in a button-down and a younger woman with perfect hair and a blazer that cost more than Lena's rent. "Lena Nguyen?" the man said. "Yes. Hi. Thank you for meeting with me. We've reviewed your portfolio. It's fine." Fine. The word landed like a slap. "We're looking for someone with more corporate experience," the woman added. "Your work feels a little too freelance." Lena didn't know what that meant, but she knew it wasn't a compliment. "I can adapt to any style," she said. "I've worked with a range of clients." "We see that." The man glanced at something off screen. "A yoga studio, a dog walking app, a local bakery." He said it like she'd been designing wanted posters. Those were small businesses, yes, but the principles are the same. Clean design, clear messaging. I'm fast, I'm reliable. "We need someone who understands enterprise-level branding," the woman interrupted. "Someone who's worked with teams, managed stakeholders." Translation: someone who doesn't look desperate. Lena felt her throat tighten. She kept her voice steady. "I understand. Is there any feedback you can offer? Anything I can improve for future opportunities?" The man shrugged. "Just keep building your portfolio. Maybe take some courses on corporate design trends." Courses she couldn't afford. Portfolio pieces she couldn't get without clients who wouldn't hire her without portfolio pieces. "Thank you for your time," she said. The call ended. Lena closed her laptop, stared at the table, felt the weight of everything pressing down. Rent, loans, the ticking clock of survival in a city that didn't care if you drowned. She became aware suddenly that the stranger across from her had stopped typing. When she glanced up, he was looking at her. Not with pity, not with judgment, just looking. "Rough call," he said. "Something like that." He nodded, took a sip of his coffee. "You a designer?" She hesitated. "Trying to be." "Freelance?" "For now." "How's that going?" She let out a short, bitter laugh. "About as well as you'd expect." He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "You tell them you'd work for free?" "What? The people on that call? Did you offer to work for free? Or cheap?" Lena frowned. "No, why would I?" "Because that's what desperate people do, and companies smell desperation like blood in the water." She stiffened. "I'm not desperate." He raised an eyebrow. "Okay, fine, I'm desperate, but I'm also good at what I do." "Then why are you begging people who don't value you?" "I'm not begging. I'm applying. That's how jobs work." "Not good ones." Lena felt heat rise in her chest. "And what do you know about good jobs?" He shrugged. "Enough to know you're wasting your time chasing people who already decided you're not worth it." "Thanks for the pep talk." "I'm serious." He leaned forward. "They didn't even look at your work." "Not really. They looked at your resume and made a decision before you opened your mouth." "So what am I supposed to do? Give up?" "No, stop trying to fit into boxes that weren't built for you." Lena stared at him. "And do what?" "Build something worth noticing." "With what money? What connections? What magical resources do you think I have?" "You've got a brain, and clearly some skill. If you're this pissed about not getting a job you didn't even want." She opened her mouth to argue, stopped, because he was right. She didn't want that job. She wanted security, stability, a paycheck that didn't depend on clients who vanished after 3 emails. "I need to pay rent," she said quietly. "Everyone needs to pay rent. That's not a strategy. It's reality. Reality's negotiable." Lena laughed, sharp and humorless, spoken like someone who's never been broke. Something shifted in his expression. Not anger, something colder. "You'd be surprised." Before she could respond, the cafe door opened and a voice cut through the low hum of conversation. "Oh my God. Lena?" Lena Nguyen? Lena's stomach dropped. She turned, saw a woman in a cream-colored coat and designer boots walking toward her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Madison Holt. They'd gone to the same design school. Madison had graduated with honors, a portfolio full of internships at major agencies, and a job offer from a firm in New York. Lena had graduated with debt, a laptop held together by hope, and no connections. "I thought that was you," Madison said, stopping beside the table. Her eyes swept over Lena's coffee-stained sweater, the cracked laptop, the desperate energy that clung to everything. "Hi, Madison." "Wow. It's been, what, 3 years?" "Something like that." Madison's smile widened. "You're still freelancing?" The way she said it, like freelancing was a phase, a failure. "Yeah." "That's so brave. I don't know how you do it. All that instability." She laughed, light and careless. "I'd lose my mind." Lena forced a smile. "It has its moments. I'm at Carter & Klein now, senior designer. We just landed the Horizon Tech rebrand. Huge project. That's great. You should apply sometime. We're always looking for junior talent." Junior. Like Lena hadn't been designing longer than Madison had been out of school. "I'll keep that in mind." Madison's gaze flicked to the stranger across the table, dismissed him, looked back at Lena. "Well, I won't keep you. I'm meeting a client." She glanced at Lena's laptop. "Good luck with everything." She walked away, heels clicking on the tile floor. Lena sat very still. She could feel the stranger watching her. "Friend of yours?" he asked. "Not really." "She seems nice," Lena snorted. "She's the worst." "Why'd you let her talk to you like that?" "Like what?" "Like you're beneath her." "Because maybe I am." "Bullshit." Lena looked at him, startled by the edge in his voice. "You don't know me," she said. "I know you didn't flinch. Most people would have either snapped back or shrunk. You just sat there and took it." "What was I supposed to do?" "Anything but that. Easy for you to say." "Is it?" Lena studied him, the worn jacket, the tired eyes, the quiet intensity that didn't match the rest of him. "Who are you?" she asked. Someone who used to care what people like her thought. "And now?" "Now I don't." "Must be nice." "It's lonely." The honesty caught her off guard. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the stranger closed his laptop, pulled a pen from his bag, grabbed a napkin. "Can I see your resume?" Lena blinked. "What?" "Your resume. Or portfolio. Whatever you sent to those people." "Why?" "Because I'm bored and you're interesting." "I'm not." "You are. You just don't know it yet." She didn't know why she did it. Maybe because the morning had already been a disaster. Maybe because he was the first person in months who'd looked at her like she wasn't invisible. She opened her laptop, pulled up her portfolio PDF, turned the screen toward him. He studied it, scrolled slowly, stopped on a logo she'd designed for a small bookstore that had gone out of business a year later. "This is good," he said. "They closed." "That's not your fault." "Feels like it." He looked up. "Why?" "Because I can't seem to help anyone succeed, including myself." "You're helping the wrong people." "I'm helping anyone who'll pay me." "That's the problem." He grabbed the napkin, started writing. "What are you doing?" Lena asked. "Fixing your pitch." "I didn't ask. You applied to a corporate job with a portfolio full of small business work and no explanation for why that matters. You let them frame the conversation. You gave them all the power. Because they have all the power. Only if you give it to them." He slid the napkin across the table. Lena looked down. "Stop selling your skills, sell the outcome. Don't say, 'I design logos.' Say, 'I help small businesses look bigger than they are.' Don't say, 'I'm reliable.' Meant to say, 'I've never missed a deadline because I treat your business like it's mine.' Don't compete with people who have bigger portfolios. Compete on what they can't fake. Caring." She read it twice, 3 times. "This is obvious," he said. "No. It's good." He shrugged. "It's just framing." "It's more than that." "Then use it." Lena looked at him, really looked. The stranger who'd asked for a seat, who hadn't invaded her space, who'd watched her fail and hadn't looked away. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. He considered the question. "Because you said yes." "To what?" "The chair. You could have said no. Everyone else did." Lena glanced around the cafe, saw the same people still guarding their empty seats. "It's just a chair," she said. "It's never just a chair." Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A new email. She opened it reflexively, scanned the first line, felt her heart drop. "Dear Ms. Nguyen, thank you for your interest in the marketing designer position. Unfortunately, we've decided to move forward with other candidates." She closed the email, set down her phone. The stranger watched her. "Bad news?" he asked. "Just more of the same." "What will you do?" "I don't know. Find another interview to fail, another client to ghost me, another month of pretending I'm fine." "You're not fine." "No, I'm not. So stop pretending." "And do what?" "Something real." Lena laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Real doesn't pay rent. Neither does fake." She couldn't argue with that. The stranger stood, packed his laptop into his bag. "I have to go," he said. "Okay." He paused, pulled out his phone. "Can I get your number?" Lena's eyebrows rose. "Are you hitting on me?" "No, I'm offering you a job." "What?" "Not now, but soon, if you want it." "I don't even know your name." "Ethan." "Ethan what?" "Just Ethan for now." That's not suspicious at all." He smiled. It was the first time she'd seen him smile. It changed his whole face. "You'll understand later, trust me." "I don't trust anyone." "Smart." He held out his phone. She stared at it. "I'm serious," he said. "Give me your number. I'll call you in a week." "Why a week?" "Because you need time to decide if you're ready to stop playing small." Lena didn't know what to say to that, so she took his phone and typed in her number. He saved it, pocketed the phone. "See you around, Lena." "Maybe." He walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. "One more thing," he said. "What?" "That woman. Madison. She's not better than you. She just has a nicer coat." Then he was gone. Lena sat alone at the table, the napkin in front of her, the words written in messy handwriting that somehow felt like a lifeline. She didn't know who Ethan was, didn't know if he'd actually call, didn't know if any of this mattered. But for the first time in months, she felt something other than dread. She felt curious. 3 days later, Lena was back at the cafe. She'd tried working from home, but the walls of her tiny apartment closed in too fast. The silence was too loud. The unpaid bills stacked on her desk were too visible. So she came back to Central Perk with another overpriced coffee and her dying laptop and the faint, irrational hope that maybe Ethan would be there. He wasn't. She told herself she wasn't disappointed. She set up at a different table this time, one further from the outlets where the lighting was worse, but the foot traffic was lower. She opened her laptop and stared at a blank email draft. She'd been trying to write cold outreach emails to potential clients for 2 hours. Every version sounded desperate. Every pitch felt hollow. "Hi, I'm Lena. I design things. Please hire me before I become homeless." She deleted it. Tried again. "Hello, my name is Lena Nguyen, and I'm a freelance designer specializing in..." She stopped, stared at the napkin she'd folded into her bag 3 days ago. "Sell the outcome." She pulled it out, smoothed it on the table, started over. "I help small businesses look like they're winning, even when they're just getting started." It felt bold, maybe too bold. She kept writing. "You're building something that matters, and your brand should show it. I design logos, websites, and marketing materials that make people stop scrolling and start trusting. If you're tired of looking homemade and ready to look professional, let's talk." She read it back. It didn't sound like her. It sounded confident, assured, like someone who knew what they were doing. She hated it. Then she hit send anyway. Sent it to 15 local businesses she'd researched. Coffee roasters, fitness studios, a new bakery that just opened downtown, a pet grooming service. Most wouldn't respond. Maybe none of them would. But at least she'd tried something different. She closed her laptop, checked her phone. No missed calls, no texts. She told herself it didn't matter. At 2:47, her phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart jumped. She answered, "Hello? Lena Nguyen? Yes? This is Rachel Kim from Bloom Fitness Studio. I got your email." Lena sat up straighter. "Oh, hi. Thanks for calling." "Your message was different. Most designers just send portfolios and rate sheets." "I'm not most designers," Rachel laughed. "I can tell. Look, we're opening a second location next month, and our branding is a mess. Flyers look like my nephew made them, websites from 2015. Can you help?" "Yes, absolutely. Great. Can you come by tomorrow? I want to talk budget and timelines." Lena's hands were shaking. "Tomorrow works." "Perfect. See you at 10. The call ended. Lena stared at her phone. One email, one response. It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't salvation. But it was something. She grabbed her laptop, started drafting 10 more emails. By the time she left the cafe that evening, she'd sent 27 pitches, had 2 more callbacks scheduled, and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Momentum. Focus. The next morning, Lena showed up to Bloom Fitness at 9:45. She wore her best blazer, carried a leather folder she'd bought at a thrift store, and tried to project the kind of confidence she didn't feel. Rachel Kim was in her mid-30s, fit and energetic, with the kind of smile that made you want to sign up for a gym membership even if you hated exercise. They sat in her small office, surrounded by resistance bands and motivational posters. "So," Rachel said, "tell me what you'd do differently." Lena pulled out her laptop, showed her 3 quick mock-ups she'd made the night before. New logo concepts, a website refresh, social media templates. Rachel's eyes lit up. This is what I've been trying to explain to people. It's clean but still energetic, professional but not corporate. That's the goal. How fast can you turn this around? 2 weeks for phase 1, logo and core branding, 4 weeks for the full package. And cost? Lena named a number. It was higher than she'd normally charge. Not by much, but enough that she felt like she might throw up. Rachel didn't flinch. "Done. I'll send a deposit today." Lena nearly fell out of her chair. "Really?" "Really. I've been looking for someone who gets it. You get it." They shook hands. Lena walked out of that gym feeling like she'd just won a war. 1 client, 1 real project, a deposit that would cover half her rent. She wanted to scream, to cry, to call someone and share the moment. But there was no one to call. So she went back to the cafe, ordered a coffee she could actually afford this time, sat at her usual table, and saw Ethan walk through the door. He looked the same, tired, worn, like he carried weight no one else could see. Their eyes met. He walked over. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. Lena gestured to the chair. "It's yours." He sat down his coffee. "You look different," he said. "Different how?" "Less defeated?" She smiled. "I got a client." "Yeah?" "Used your advice, rewrote my pitch, sent it out, got a call the same day." "Good. More than good. It's the first real project I've landed in 2 months." "That's a start." "It's more than a start. It's proof I'm not completely useless." Ethan studied her. "You were never useless. You were just asking the wrong questions." "What do you mean?" "You were asking, how do I get people to hire me? When you should have been asking, why would someone trust me with something that matters to them?" Lena frowned. "Isn't that the same thing?" "Not even close. One's about desperation, the other's about value." She thought about that. "You talk like someone who's done this before," she said. "Done what?" "Built something, or lost something, I can't tell which." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Both. Care to elaborate?" "Not yet." "Still mysterious, huh?" "Still careful." Lena leaned back. "So why are you here? You said you'd call in a week." "I lied." "Why?" "Wanted to see if you'd actually do something with what I told you." "And?" "You did. That's rare." "What is?" "Follow through. Most people hear advice and nod and do nothing. I didn't have a choice. It was change or drown." "Everyone has a choice. You made the right one." Lena looked at him. At the worn jacket and the tired eyes and the quiet intensity that made her feel like he saw more than he said. Who are you really? She asked. Someone who wants to see what you do next. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting today. She should have been annoyed, but she wasn't, because something about Ethan felt steady, solid, like an anchor in a life that had been drifting for too long. Fine, she said. Keep your secrets. I will. But if you're going to keep showing up, at least buy me a coffee. He laughed. It was a real laugh, surprised and genuine. Deal. They worked side by side for the next 2 hours. Lena on her new client project, Ethan on whatever he was doing that he never explained. It felt easy, comfortable. Like maybe for the first time in a long time, Lena wasn't completely alone. And that was enough. Over the next week, Ethan became a fixture at Central Perk. Not every day, but often enough that Lena stopped being surprised when he appeared. He'd arrive mid-morning with his worn messenger bag and tired eyes, claim the seat across from her without asking, and work in companionable silence until one of them needed a break. They didn't talk much at first, but the silence wasn't awkward. It was the kind of quiet that came from two people who'd both learned that not every moment needed filling. On Thursday, Lena's laptop died for real. The screen went black mid-render and didn't come back. She held the power button, unplugged it, plugged it back in. Nothing. No, come on, please. She said it like a prayer to a god that didn't listen. Ethan looked up from his own screen. Dead? Apparently. How old is it? 7 years, maybe 8? He whistled low. That's ancient in laptop years. It's all I have. What about the client work? Backed up to the cloud, but I can't finish the designs without a computer. A library? They have a 2-hour limit and the software's outdated. Friend's place? Lena gave him a look. Right, he said. Freelancer life. No friends, just former clients who owe you money. Pretty much. He closed his laptop, slid it across the table. Use mine. Lena stared at it. What? You need a computer. I can work on my phone for a few days. I can't just take your laptop. You're not taking it. I'm lending it. You don't even know me. I know enough. What if I steal it? Then I made a bad bet. But I don't think I did. Lena looked at the laptop. It wasn't new, but it was newer than hers, probably worth more than her entire security deposit. Why would you do this? She asked. Because you need it and I don't. Not as much as you do. That's not a reason. It's the only reason that matters. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she didn't need charity, but the truth was staring her in the face on a dead black screen. She did need help. She needed it desperately. 1 week, she said. Take 2. 1 week. And I'm buying you coffee every day until I give it back. Deal. She took the laptop, opened it. The screen came to life, bright and clear and perfect. She nearly cried. Thank you, she said quietly. No, don't thank me. Just finish the project. She did. For the next 6 days, Lena worked harder than she'd worked in months. She designed logos and color palettes and social media templates. She revised based on Rachel's feedback, adjusted layouts, refined typography. She worked late into the night at the cafe, at home, anywhere with Wi-Fi and an outlet. Ethan checked in once, a text on day 3. How's it going? She responded, almost done, your laptop's a beast. Good, don't burn it out, no promises. On day 7, she delivered the full branding package to Rachel. Every file clean, organized, ready to implement. Rachel loved it, sent the final payment the same afternoon, wrote a glowing testimonial Lena could use for future clients. Lena sat in her apartment that night, staring at her bank account. She had enough to cover rent, groceries, and maybe, if she was careful, a used laptop. It felt like breathing after being underwater. The next morning, she met Ethan at the cafe with his laptop in her bag and 2 coffees in her hands. He was already there, working on his phone. You came back, he said. Did you think I wouldn't? People surprise you. She set his laptop on the table. Good as new. Better, actually. I cleaned the keyboard. He smiled. Thanks. Thank you. Seriously, I wouldn't have finished without this. You would have figured something out. Maybe. But this was easier. Easier's underrated. Lena slid one of the coffees toward him. As promised, 1 week of coffee. I think you only owe me 6 days. Then consider this interest. He took the coffee, sipped it. You actually remembered how I take it. Black. No sugar. Not exactly complicated. Most people don't pay attention. I'm not most people. No, he said, looking at her with that steady gaze that made her feel seen. You're not. They fell into their usual rhythm, working side by side, occasionally commenting on something absurd happening in the cafe. The guy who ordered 8 espresso shots, the woman having a loud breakup call in the corner, the barista who kept burning the milk. Around noon, Lena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her breath caught. What? Ethan asked. Another client, the pet grooming place I emailed last week. They want to schedule a call. That's good. That's 2 in 2 weeks. I've never had 2 clients at once. You're going to need to get used to it. Why? Because you're doing it right now. The work, the pitch, the follow-through. That's how momentum builds. Lena looked at him. You sound like you've built something before. I have. What? He hesitated. A company. What kind of company? Tech. Like an app? Something like that. Did it work? For a while. What happened? It grew, got complicated. I got tired. So you quit? So I stepped back. Lena frowned. You just walked away from your own company? Not walked away, just stopped being the face of it. Why? He looked out the window at the street beyond. People rushing past, heads down, phones out, everyone moving, but no one connecting. Because I forgot why I started it, he said quietly. It stopped being about solving problems and started being about money, scale, investors. I was spending 12 hours a day in meetings with people who didn't care about the product. They cared about their portfolios. So you left. So I took a break to remember what it felt like to just build something without the noise. Lena studied him, the worn jacket, the tired eyes, the way he talked about success like it was a trap. Are you rich? She asked. He laughed. Why? Because you lend out laptops like they're paperbacks, and you spend your mornings in cafes working on nothing I can identify. I'm comfortable. That's not an answer. It's the one you're getting. She shook her head. You're so weird, says the woman who gave a stranger a seat when no one else would. That's different. How? That was just basic decency. Exactly. Before Lena could respond, the cafe door opened and a familiar voice cut through the noise. Well, well, if it isn't Lena Nguyen, twice in 2 weeks. You practically live here now. Madison. Lena's jaw tightened. Madison walked over. Same perfect coat, same sharp smile. This time she had someone with her. A man in an expensive suit, mid-40s, already looking bored. Still freelancing? Madison asked, eyes flicking to Lena's setup. The borrowed laptop, the second-hand folder. Still working, yeah. Cute. Madison turned to the man beside her. This is Carter Finch, my boss. We're scouting locations for a client event. Carter gave Lena a dismissive nod. Didn't offer his hand. Madison's gaze landed on Ethan, lingered. And who's this? A friend, Lena said. Does your friend have a name? Ethan looked up. His expression was neutral, unreadable. Ethan. Ethan, Madison repeated like she was tasting the word. You look familiar. Do you work in design? No. Tech? Sometimes. Madison's smile sharpened. Vague and mysterious, how intriguing. Ethan said nothing. Carter checked his watch. Madison, we're late. Right, sorry. She looked back at Lena. Good seeing you. Maybe we'll cross paths again when you're not so busy. The way she said busy, like Lena was pretending, playing at work while real professionals had actual jobs. They left. Lena stared at her coffee. She really doesn't like you, Ethan said. The feeling's mutual. Why does she get under your skin? Because she's everything I'm supposed to be, successful, secure. She made all the right choices and I made all the wrong ones. Did you? I'm broke and working out of a cafe. She's a senior designer at a major firm. You do the math. Math's not the issue. You're measuring success with her ruler. What's that supposed to mean? You think she's happy? Lena blinked. What? She walks in here twice trying to make you feel small. People who are happy don't do that. They don't need to. Maybe she just doesn't like me. Maybe she's threatened by you. Lena laughed. By me? I'm nobody. You're free. She's not. She has a career. She has a boss, a schedule, a performance review. You have autonomy. I have anxiety and unpaid bills. For now. But you're building something that's yours. She's building someone else's empire. Lena wanted to argue, but part of her knew he was right. Madison had stability, sure, but she'd also traded every ounce of creative control for a paycheck and a title. Still, Lena said, I'd take her problems over mine. Would you? She thought about it, really thought. I don't know. That's progress. They worked until late afternoon. When Lena finally packed up to leave, Ethan walked out with her. Outside, the November air was sharp and cold. The sky was gray, threatening rain. Can I ask you something? Lena said. Sure. Why do you keep showing up here? Why do you? Because I need the Wi-Fi and the outlets and somewhere to go that's not my depressing apartment. Same. You're lying. He smiled. Maybe a little. So why? He stopped walking, turned to face her. Because I spent 5 years surrounded by people who only wanted something from me. Money, access, connections. And then I walked into a cafe and met someone who just let me sit down. No questions, no agenda, just basic human kindness. Lena felt her throat tighten. It was just a chair. It's never just a chair. You keep saying that. Because it's true. You didn't see a stranger. You saw a person. That's rare. It shouldn't be. But it is. They stood there on the sidewalk while people rushed past, everyone late for something, no one looking at each other. I should go, Lena said. Yeah. Same time tomorrow? Probably. She started to walk away. Stopped, turned back. Ethan? Yeah? Thank you. For the laptop, for the advice, for not being weird about any of this. You're welcome. I mean it. I know. She left before the tightness in her throat turned into something embarrassing. That night, Lena worked on 2 new pitches. A brewery that needed a rebrand. A nonprofit looking for marketing materials. She sent both emails before midnight using the framework Ethan had scrawled on a napkin 2 weeks ago. One responded within an hour. The brewery wanted to meet. Lena scheduled the call for Friday. By the end of the week, she had 3 active clients. Small projects, sure. Nothing glamorous, but real work, real money, real momentum. She started sleeping better, eating more than ramen. She even bought a used laptop, nothing fancy, but functional. On Monday, she showed up at Central Perk with her own computer and a feeling that almost resembled optimism. Ethan was already there. New laptop, he asked. She set it on the table. Officially self-sufficient again. How's it feel? Terrifying. Why? Because now I don't have an excuse. For what? Failing. Ethan leaned back. You're not going to fail. You don't know that. I know you're showing up. That's 90% of success. What's the other 10%? Not quitting when it gets hard. Lena opened her laptop, stared at her email inbox. 12 unread messages. Half were spam. The other half were potential clients, payment confirmations, project updates. It's already hard, she said. Good. That means it matters. They worked through the morning. Around 11, a group of business students claimed the table next to them, loud and caffeinated, arguing about some startup pitch competition. One of them kept glancing at Ethan. Finally, he leaned over. Excuse me, do I know you? Ethan didn't look up. I don't think so. You look really familiar. Did you go to Stanford? No. Berkeley? No. The student frowned, still staring. Are you sure? I swear I've seen you somewhere. Maybe I just have one of those faces. The student's friend elbowed him. Dude, leave him alone. They went back to their debate, but Lena noticed the way Ethan's shoulders had tensed, the way his jaw tightened. You okay? She asked quietly. Fine. You look like you want to disappear. I do. Why? Because I came here to be invisible. And that's getting harder. What does that mean? He closed his laptop. It means I need to tell you something. Lena's pulse quickened. Okay. Not here. You free tonight? I guess. Meet me at Riverside Park, 7 o'clock. There's a bench near the South Fountain. That's ominous. It's not. I just don't want to do this in public. Do what? Tell you who I actually am. Lena stared at him. Should I be worried? No, but you might be surprised. Ethan, 7 o'clock. I'll explain everything. He packed his bag and left. Lena sat there, heart racing, mind spinning. Who the hell was Ethan Cole? She spent the rest of the day distracted, missed a client email, burned her lunch, rewrote the same paragraph 6 times. At 6:30, she changed shirts twice, then felt ridiculous for carrying what she wore to a park bench conversation. She arrived at Riverside Park at 10 to 7. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the walking paths. The fountain burbled softly. A few joggers passed. A couple sat on a blanket near the trees. Ethan was already there. He stood when he saw her. Thanks for coming, he said. You made it sound important. It is. They sat on the bench. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ethan pulled out his phone, opened a web page, handed it to her. Lena looked at the screen. It was a TechCrunch article from 3 years ago. The headline read, Ethan Cole steps down as CEO of VisionLink, citing burnout and industry disillusionment. Below it was a photo. Ethan, younger, cleaner, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her rent. VisionLink, Lena said slowly. The project management software? Yeah. You built that? Co-founded it, scaled it, sold part of it, then walked away before it ate me alive. Lena scrolled through the article. Revenue numbers, acquisition offers, quotes about innovation and disruption. She looked up at him. You're a billionaire. On paper, yeah. And you've been sitting in cafes with me pretending to be broke. I wasn't pretending. I just wasn't advertising. Lena stood up, started pacing. Why? She asked. Why what? Why hide it? Why sit with me? Why help me? What the hell is this? Ethan stood too. It's not a game if that's what you're thinking. Then what is it? I told you I was tired. Tired of people who only saw me as a wallet or a contact or a shortcut. I wanted to meet people who didn't know, who didn't care. So you lied. I didn't lie. I just didn't correct assumptions. That's the same thing. Is it? You never asked what I did. You never asked for money or favors. You just treated me like a person. Because I thought you were. I am. You're a billionaire tech founder who's been slumming it in cafes for kicks. That's not fair, isn't it? Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I wasn't slumming. I was surviving. You think having money makes loneliness disappear? It doesn't. It makes it worse. Because you never know who's real. Lena stopped pacing. And I was what? A test? No. You were a reminder. Of what? That kindness still exists. She stared at him, at the tired eyes and the worn jacket that suddenly made sense. A disguise. A shield. I don't know what to do with this, she said quietly. You don't have to do anything. Why tell me now? Because it's getting harder to hide, and because I want to offer you something. What? A job. Lena's breath caught. What? I'm starting a new project, something small, focused. I need someone who understands design, branding, user experience, someone who actually cares about helping people, not just extracting value. You want me to work for you? With me, not for me. I don't have corporate experience. I don't have connections. You're exactly what I need. You don't even know what I'm capable of. I've been watching you for 2 weeks. You're resilient, creative. You don't quit when things get hard, and you're kind even when it costs you something. That's not a resume. It's better than a resume. Resumes are fiction. I've seen who you are. Lena felt dizzy. I need to think. Take your time. How much time? As much as you need. She turned away, looked at the fountain, the water catching the last light of the day. If I say yes, she said slowly. What happens to the clients I already have? Keep them. Or don't. Your choice. This would be full-time, but flexible. Work from anywhere. Build something that matters. And if I say no, then nothing changes. We're still whatever this is. Friends? He smiled. Sure, friends. Lena looked at him, at the man who'd been hiding in plain sight, who'd helped her without asking for anything, who'd seen her at her lowest and hadn't looked away. I don't know if I trust you, she said. Smart. But I want to. That's a start. She sat back down on the bench. He sat beside her. They watched the fountain in silence while the sky turned dark and the city lights flickered on. Finally, Lena spoke. Can I sleep on it? Of course. And you'll answer any questions I have? Honestly, I promise. Okay. They sat a while longer. Then Lena stood. I should go. Yeah. Same time tomorrow? At the cafe? If you want. I do. She started to walk away, stopped, looked back. Ethan? Yeah? Thank you for telling me. I know that wasn't easy. It wasn't, but you deserve to know. She nodded. Walked into the night with her mind racing and her heart unsure and the strangest feeling that her entire life was about to change. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it just gives you a choice you never knew you had. Lena didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation at the park. Ethan Cole, Vision Link, billionaire. The words felt absurd strung together with the image of the tired man in the worn jacket who'd asked to share her table. At 3 a.m, she gave up on sleep and opened her laptop, searched his name, found hundreds of articles, photos from tech conferences where he stood on stage in front of massive screens, interviews where he talked about disruption and innovation and building the future, a Forbes profile from 2 years ago that called him the reluctant titan of project management software. There was a quote halfway through that stopped her. Success is suffocating, Ethan had said. Everyone wants a piece of it. Nobody asks what it costs. The article mentioned he'd stepped down abruptly. Rumors of burnout, depression. Some claimed he'd had a breakdown. Others said he was launching something bigger. No one seemed to know for sure. Lena closed the laptop. Her phone buzzed. A text from Rachel at Bloom Fitness. Just posted the new branding on Instagram. Already getting comments. You're amazing. A small win. Real work. Real impact. And now Ethan was offering her something bigger. She should be excited, grateful. Instead, she felt nauseous. By the time the sun rose, she'd made a list of questions. 17 of them, ranging from what exactly would I be doing, to why me, to is this legal? She arrived at Central Perk at 8. Ethan was already there, 2 coffees on the table. You look tired, he said. Didn't sleep. Yeah, I figured. She sat down, pulled out her phone, opened her notes. I have questions. Good. A lot of questions. I'd be worried if you didn't. She looked at the list, at the 17 bullet points she'd typed in the dark. What's the project? She asked. Ethan leaned back. You know how most project management software is built for corporations? Big teams, complex hierarchies, features nobody uses? Sure. I want to build something for everyone else. Freelancers, small teams, people who need to stay organized without needing a computer science degree. That already exists. Badly. Most tools are either too simple or too complicated. I want something in between. Clean, intuitive, actually helpful. Lena frowned. That's what VisionLink was supposed to be. VisionLink became what investors wanted. Bloated, expensive, enterprise-focused. This would be different. How? No investors, no board. Just me funding it until it works or doesn't. And you need a designer. I need someone who understands what it's like to struggle with bad tools. Someone who's lived the problem. There are a million designers who fit that description. But I don't trust a million designers. I trust you. You barely know me. I know enough. Lena looked down at her list. What's the pay? He named a number. She nearly dropped her phone. That's more than I made all of last year. It's market rate for senior designers in tech. I'm not a senior designer. You are. You just haven't been paid like one. What if I'm terrible at this? Then we'll figure it out. That's not a business strategy. Sure it is. Hire people you believe in. Give them room to grow. See what happens. Lena set down her phone, rubbed her temples. This is insane. Why? Because 2 weeks ago I was begging for scraps and now you're offering me a six-figure job based on watching me work in a cafe. Is that what you think this is? Isn't it? Ethan leaned forward. I've interviewed hundreds of designers, looked at thousands of portfolios. You know what I learned? Skills are easy to find. Integrity isn't. I've seen you turn down shortcuts, treat people with respect even when they're awful to you. Work harder than you needed to because you cared about the outcome. That's not something I can teach. That's who you are. You don't know who I am. You've seen me for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is enough to see character. Most people show you everything in the first 5 minutes if you're paying attention. Lena wanted to argue, but she thought about Madison, about the clients who'd ghosted her, about every person who'd judged her based on her resume instead of her work. What if I say yes and it doesn't work out? She asked quietly. Then you leave. No hard feelings. You'll have experience at a funded startup and money in the bank. And if it does work, then we build something that actually helps people. And maybe you stop wondering if you're good enough. That landed like a punch. Lena looked away. I need more time. Take it. How much time do I have? End of the week. After that, I need to start moving forward. She nodded. They worked in silence for an hour. Lena tried to focus on a client project but kept rereading the same paragraph. Her mind was spinning. Around 10, the cafe started filling up. The usual Monday crowd. Students, remote workers, people who treated the place like an office. A man in a suit walked in. Mid-50s, expensive watch. He scanned the room, eyes landing on Ethan. His expression changed, recognition, surprise. He walked over. Ethan Cole? Ethan's jaw tightened. Yeah. David Brennan. We met at the Tech Summit panel 3 years ago. I'm with Crestline Ventures. I remember. I heard you'd gone off the grid. Didn't expect to find you here. He glanced around the cafe like it was a zoo exhibit. Quite the change from the conference circuit. That was the idea. David laughed. Too loud, too practiced. Well, if you're ever looking for funding on a new venture, we'd love to talk. VisionLink was impressive. I'm sure whatever you're working on now is just as groundbreaking. I'm not looking for funding. Everyone's looking for funding. I'm not everyone. The smile faltered. Right. Well, if you change your mind. He pulled out a business card, set it on the table. Great seeing you. He left. Ethan stared at the card like it was contaminated. Lena picked it up, read it, set it back down. Does that happen a lot? She asked. More than I'd like. Is that why you dress like that? He looked down at his jacket. Like what? Like someone who doesn't want to be noticed. Yes. Does it work? Usually, not today. Lena watched him, saw the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands clenched. You really hate this, don't you? She said. Hate what? Being Ethan Cole. He was quiet for a moment. I don't hate what I built, he said finally. I hate what it turned me into. You spend long enough being the guy everyone wants something from, you forget how to just exist. Is that why you're here? Existing? Trying to. And the project. Is that real or just an excuse to stay hidden? It's real. I want to build something good. Something that doesn't require becoming someone I hate. Lena believed him. She didn't know why, but she did. Can I ask you something personal? She said. Sure. Are you happy? Ethan looked at her, really looked. Not yet, he said, but I'm trying to be. They didn't talk much after that, just worked, side by side, the way they had for 2 weeks. At noon, Lena's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Is this Lena Nguyen? Yes. This is Greg Hoffman from Pinnacle Marketing Group. We received your inquiry last week about design services. Lena sat up straighter. Pinnacle was big, corporate big. The kind of client that could change everything. Yes. Thank you for calling. We're looking for a lead designer for a 6-month contract, Major retail rebrand. Your portfolio caught our attention. I'm interested. Great. Can you come in for an interview tomorrow at 2? Lena's heart raced. Absolutely. Perfect. I'll send you the details. The call ended. She looked at Ethan. Big client? He asked. Huge Pinnacle Marketing Group. They want to interview me. That's good. It's more than good. It's the kind of gig that could set me up for months. You should take the meeting. I will. But even as she said it, something felt off, like the universe was forcing her to choose between safety and risk, between the known struggle and the unknown possibility. That night, Lena prepared for the interview, researched Pinnacle, updated her portfolio, practiced answers to standard questions. At midnight, she got a text from Ethan. Don't overthink it. Just be honest about what you want. She stared at the message. What did she want? She didn't know anymore. The next afternoon, Lena walked into Pinnacle's downtown office wearing her best blazer and the confidence she'd been faking for years. The lobby was glass and steel, modern, expensive, intimidating. A receptionist led her to a conference room where 3 people waited. Greg Hoffman, the man who'd called, a woman named Sarah Chen, and a younger guy whose name Lena immediately forgot. They asked the usual questions. Walk us through your process. How do you handle feedback? What's your rate? Lena answered, professional, polished, everything they wanted to hear. Then Greg leaned forward. We looked at your portfolio, he said. It's solid, but most of your work is small scale, local businesses. We're talking about a national campaign, hundreds of deliverables, tight deadlines. Can you handle that? Yes. You sound confident. I am. Sarah spoke up. We'd need you to work on-site 3 days a week, the rest remote, non-negotiable. Lena's stomach dropped. On-site meant structure, supervision, the exact thing she'd been trying to escape. That's fine, she heard herself say. They exchanged glances. We'll be in touch by end of week, Greg said. The interview ended. Lena walked out of that building feeling hollow. She'd said all the right things, smiled at the right moments, sold herself like a product, and she'd hated every second of it. She went straight to Central Perk, found Ethan at their usual table. How'd it go? He asked. I think they'll offer me the job. That's good. It? He looked at her. You tell me. Lena sat down. I don't know. The whole interview felt like I was auditioning to be someone else, someone corporate, someone who fits. And you don't want to fit? I don't know what I want. Ethan closed his laptop. Can I tell you a story? Sure. When I started VisionLink, it was just me and 2 friends in a garage. We built the first version in 3 months. It was buggy and ugly and barely worked, but it solved a real problem, and people loved it. Okay. Then we got funding, hired a team, brought in executives who knew how to scale, and slowly, everything that made it special got sanded down. Features got added because investors wanted them. Design changed to appeal to enterprise clients. We started chasing growth instead of impact. What happened? We succeeded. The company grew, revenue exploded, and I stopped recognizing the thing I'd built. It wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to shareholders and metrics and quarterly projections. Lena looked down at her hands. Why are you telling me this? Because you're standing at the same fork in the road. You can take the Pinnacle job. Play it safe. Build someone else's vision, or you can take a risk on something that's yours. The project with you isn't mine. It's yours. Not if you help shape it. Not if we build it together. That's terrifying. It should be. Anything worth doing is. Lena felt something crack open in her chest. Fear, hope, possibility. What if I fail? She whispered. Then you fail. And you learn, and you try something else. What if I'm not good enough? You are. You just don't believe it yet. She looked at him, at the tired eyes that had seen more than she could imagine, at the man who'd walked away from everything to find something real. I need to think, she said. I know. She left the cafe, walked for hours, through downtown, past the river, into neighborhoods she'd never seen. She thought about Madison, about the interview, about every time she'd made herself smaller to fit someone else's expectations. She thought about Ethan, about the napkin advice, about the laptop he'd lent without hesitation. She thought about the designer she wanted to be versus the one she'd been pretending to be. By the time the sun set, she knew. The next morning, Lena walked into Central Perk at 7. Ethan was already there. She sat down across from him. "I have an answer," she said. "Yeah?" "I want to take the job. Your job. The project." Ethan smiled, not big, just a small, genuine curve of his mouth. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway. That's the right answer. I have conditions." "Okay. I keep my current clients, at least until we launch. I need the safety net." "Fair. And if this goes south, you give me a reference. A real one. Deal. And you stop hiding who you are." He frowned. "What?" "If we're building something together, I need to know I'm working with the real you, not the guy in the worn jacket pretending to be invisible. That is the real me. Part of you. But there's another part you're running from, and I can't build something with someone who's not fully present." Ethan was quiet for a long time. "That's fair," he said finally. So I'll try." "Good." They shook hands across the table, and just like that, Lena's life pivoted. She called Pinnacle that afternoon, politely declined their offer before they'd even made it. Greg sounded confused. "Are you sure? This is a significant opportunity." "I'm sure. I've accepted another position. May I ask where?" "A startup, small team, better fit." He wished her luck, didn't mean it. Lena didn't care. That evening she met Ethan at his office. Not some garage. A modest space in a shared building downtown. Clean, functional, nothing flashy. He introduced her to the two other people on the team. Marco, a developer who looked barely 20. And Sophie, a product manager who'd worked with Ethan at VisionLink and followed him when he left. "This is Lena," Ethan said. "She's leading design." Sophie smiled. "Welcome to the chaos." "Thanks?" "She's kidding," Marco said. "Mostly." Ethan showed Lena around, whiteboards covered in wireframes, sketches of user flows, post-it notes everywhere. "This is where we are," he said, gesturing to the mess. "We have the core concept, basic architecture. What we don't have is a face, an identity. That's you." Lena looked at the boards, at the rough ideas and half-formed concepts. "When do you need it?" 3 months for beta launch, 6 for public release." "That's fast. That's intentional. I don't want to overthink this. I want to ship something real and iterate." Lena felt the fear creep back. The voice that said she wasn't ready, wasn't qualified. She ignored it. "Okay," she said. "Let's build something." Over the next 2 weeks, Lena threw herself into the work. She started with research, talked to freelancers, small business owners, people who struggled with the same tools she'd been fighting. She sketched, prototyped, showed drafts to Ethan and Sophie and Marco. They pushed back, questioned choices, challenged assumptions. It was exhausting. It was exhilarating. For the first time in her life, Lena felt like she was building something that mattered, but the outside world didn't disappear. One afternoon, she was working at Central Perk when Madison walked in. Again. This time she was alone. She spotted Lena, walked over. "Twice in 1 month," Madison said. "You really do live here." "Just working." Madison's eyes flicked to Lena's screen, to the design mock-ups scattered across the table. "New client?" "New job, actually." "Oh? Where?" "A startup." Madison's smile thinned. "Risky. Startups fail 90% of the time." "So I've heard." "I'm just saying, stability matters, especially in this economy." "I'm doing fine." "Are you?" Madison's gaze swept over the cafe table, the coffee that was 3 hours cold, the notes scrawled on napkins. "Because this doesn't look fine, this looks desperate." Something in Lena snapped. "You know what, Madison? I'm tired of you showing up here to remind me that I'm not you, that I didn't make the safe choices, that I'm struggling." Madison blinked. "I wasn't—" "Yes, you were. Every time you see me, you make some comment about my work or my life or my decisions, like you need to prove you're better." "That's not—" "It is, and I'm done. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care about your job or your title or your coat. I'm building something I actually care about. And yeah, it's risky, but at least it's mine. Madison stared at her, mouth open, speechless. Enjoy your client meeting, Lena said. Madison turned and walked away without another word. Lena's hands were shaking. A slow clap came from behind her. She turned. Ethan stood there, coffee in hand, grinning. How long were you watching? She asked. Long enough. That was beautiful. I probably just made an enemy. You already had one. Now she knows you're not afraid of her. Lena let out a shaky laugh. I'm terrified. Good. Fear means you're alive. He sat down across from her. You're changing, he said. Is that bad? No, it's necessary. I don't feel different. You stood up for yourself. 3 weeks ago, you would have let her talk. 3 weeks ago, I didn't have anything to stand up for. You always did. You just didn't see it. Lena looked at him. At the man who'd been a stranger and was now something else. Mentor, partner, friend. Thank you, she said. For what? For seeing me when no one else did. I'm not the only one who sees you, Lena. You're just the last one to notice. And for the first time, she almost believed him. The weeks that followed were a blur of work, coffee, and the strange new rhythm of actually belonging somewhere. Lena arrived at the office each morning before 8. Sometimes Ethan was already there, headphones on, lost in code or strategy documents. Sometimes it was just her and the quiet hum of computers and the city waking up outside the windows. She designed, revised, scrapped entire concepts, and started over. Marco built prototypes based on her mock-ups. Sophie tested them with brutal honesty. Ethan watched it all unfold with the patience of someone who'd learned that good things took time. The product was starting to take shape. They'd named it Anchor. Simple, grounded, the kind of tool that kept you steady without weighing you down. Lena had designed the interface to feel almost invisible. Clean lines, intuitive navigation, no clutter, no features that required a manual to understand. Every element served a purpose. This is good, Sophie said one afternoon, scrolling through the latest prototype on her tablet. Really good. It feels human. That's the point, Lena said. Most tools don't feel like this. They feel engineered, mechanical, because they're designed by people who've never actually struggled. Sophie looked up. And you have. Every day of my life. It shows. In the best way. Lena felt something warm settle in her chest. Validation. Not from a client trying to get their money's worth. From someone who understood what they were building. But not everything was smooth. 3 weeks in, they hit their first major disagreement. Marco had built a feature that tracked productivity metrics. Time spent on tasks. Completion rates. Efficiency scores. Lena hated it. This defeats the whole purpose, she said, staring at the dashboard filled with graphs and percentages. How? Marco asked. People want to know if they're being productive. No, corporations want to know if people are being productive. Freelancers just want to get work done without feeling watched. It's optional. We can make it a toggle. It shouldn't exist at all. Ethan looked up from his laptop. Why not? Lena turned to him. Because the second you add metrics, people start optimizing for the wrong things. They stop caring about quality and start chasing numbers. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. She has a point, Sophie said. Marco crossed his arms. So what? We just ignore data? Pretend people don't want insights into their work? I'm not saying ignore data. I'm saying don't turn this into a surveillance tool. That's not what this is. That's what it becomes. You add one metric, then another, then suddenly we're building the same garbage everyone else makes. The room went quiet. Ethan stood, walked to the whiteboard, grabbed a marker. Let's break this down, he said. What problem are we trying to solve? Helping people stay organized, Sophie said. Right. And who are we helping? Freelancers, small teams, people who don't have corporate infrastructure. Exactly. So why would they want corporate-style productivity tracking? Marco frowned. Some people like data. Some people do, Ethan agreed. But is that our core user? Is that the person we're building for? Silence. Lena's right, Ethan said finally. The feature doesn't fit. It might be useful to some people, but it's not true to what we're making. Marco looked frustrated but nodded. Fine. We cut it. Lena exhaled. She hadn't realized how tense she'd been. After the meeting, Ethan pulled her aside. You handled that well, he said. I thought I was too aggressive. You were direct. That's different. Marco looked pissed. He'll get over it. He's a good developer, but he thinks in features. You think in people. We need that. What if I'm wrong? Then we'll find out and adjust. But I don't think you are. Lena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that her instincts mattered. But doubt was a familiar companion, and it didn't leave easily. That evening, she stayed late finishing a redesign of the task creation flow. Simpler, faster, less friction. Around 9, Ethan knocked on her desk. You're still here. She looked up. So are you. I live 10 minutes away. You live across town. I'm almost done. That's what you said an hour ago. Lena saved her file, closed her laptop. Fine, I'm leaving. Come on. I'll walk you to the bus stop. They left the office together. The street was quiet. Most of the other businesses had closed. A few restaurants still had lights on, late diners visible through windows. Can I ask you something? Lena said. Sure. Why'd you really start this? The truth. Ethan walked a few steps before answering. I told you, I wanted to build something that mattered. That's the PR answer. What's the real reason? He smiled. You don't miss much, do you? I'm a designer. I notice details. They reached the bus stop, sat on the bench. My daughter, Ethan said quietly. Lena blinked. You have a daughter? Yeah, Emma. She's 6. You never mentioned her. I don't mention a lot of things. Where is she? With her mom, my ex-wife. We share custody, but I have her every other week. Lena processed this. And that's why you stepped back from Vision Link? Part of it. I was working 80-hour weeks, missing bedtime, school events. I'd come home and she'd be asleep. I was building something for the future while missing the present. So you left. So I restructured, hired a new CEO, stepped into an advisory role, took back my life. And now you're starting another company. A different kind of company, one that doesn't require sacrificing everything else. Lena looked at him, saw the exhaustion etched into his face, the weight of trying to do right by everyone. Does she know what you do? Lena asked. She knows I make apps. She doesn't know the rest. The money? The success? She's 6. She cares about whether I play dolls with her and if we get ice cream after dinner. That's nice. It's the only thing that makes sense anymore. The bus pulled up. Lena stood. Thanks for walking me, she said. Anytime. She started to board, stopped. Ethan? Yeah? You're a good dad, even if you don't always feel like it. His expression softened. Thanks. She rode the bus home thinking about Ethan, about the man who'd been hiding not just from the world, but from the pressure of being everything to everyone. She understood that more than she wanted to admit. The next morning, Lena arrived at the office to find chaos. Sophie was on the phone, pacing. Marco sat at his desk, looking shell-shocked. Ethan stood by the window, jaw clenched. What happened? Lena asked. Sophie covered the phone. TechCrunch published an article. About what? About Ethan, about Anchor. Lena's stomach dropped. How do they even know about Anchor? Someone leaked it. Who? We don't know. Ethan turned from the window. His face was unreadable. Let me see the article, Lena said. Sophie handed her a tablet. The headline read, Ethan Cole emerges from exile with new stealth startup. Is Anchor the next big thing or another cautionary tale? Lena skimmed the piece. It outlined Ethan's history with Vision Link, his abrupt departure, rumors of instability, and now the revelation that he was working on a new project management tool with a small team. There were quotes from unnamed sources, former colleagues, industry analysts. Some praised his vision. Others questioned his ability to recapture lightning in a bottle. The worst part was the photo. Ethan at a conference 3 years ago, smiling, confident, nothing like the tired man standing by the window now. This is going to blow up, Sophie said, ending her call. I've already got 5 interview requests. Decline them all, Ethan said. Ethan, we should respond, control the narrative. There's no controlling this. We say nothing. We keep working. People are going to have questions. Let them. Lena set down the tablet. Is this going to hurt us? I don't know, Ethan said honestly. Maybe. Depends on how people react. To what? You building something new? To me. Half the industry thinks I'm a genius. The other half thinks I'm unstable. This article just reminded everyone I exist. Marco spoke up. What if investors start circling? Then we say no. What if users expect us to launch now, before we're ready? We launch when we're ready, not before. Sophie rubbed her temples. This is going to complicate things. Everything's complicated, Ethan said. We deal with it. Lena watched him, saw the walls going up, the defense mechanisms kicking in. Can we talk? She asked. Just you and me. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. They went to the small conference room, closed the door. You're panicking, Lena said. I'm managing. You're shutting down. I'm protecting what we're building. By going silent? That's not protecting, that's hiding. Ethan leaned against the table. What do you want me to do, Lena? Give interviews? Smile for the camera? Pretend this is all part of some grand plan? No, I want you to be honest. You told me to stop pretending. Now I'm telling you the same thing. This is different. How? Because the second I engage with this, it becomes about me, my past, my failures, my supposed comeback, and that's not what Anchor is. But you are part of Anchor. You can't separate yourself from it. I can try. Lena crossed her arms. Remember what you told me? About how I needed to stop playing small? Yeah? You're doing the same thing. You're letting fear make decisions. I'm being strategic. You're being a coward. The word hung in the air. Ethan stared at her. Excuse me? You heard me. You're scared that people will judge you, that they'll pick apart everything you do. So you're hiding, again. I'm not hiding. I'm focusing on the work. You're avoiding the reality that people are going to talk, and that's okay. Let them talk. It doesn't change what we're building. You don't understand what it's like, the scrutiny, the pressure. You're right, I don't. But I know what it's like to be invisible. And I know which one's worse. Ethan looked away. You told me I was changing, Lena said quietly, that I was standing up for myself. But you need to do the same thing. Stop running from who you are. Own it. And if I do and it ruins everything, then at least you tried. But hiding didn't work before. Why would it work now? Ethan was quiet for a long time. Then he laughed, short and bitter. You're kind of a pain in the ass, you know that? I learned from the best. He smiled despite himself. Fine. What do you suggest? We put out a statement, short, honest. We're building something we believe in. We'll share more when we're ready. That's it. That's too simple. Simple is honest. Ethan considered it. Okay, we try it your way. They wrote the statement together. 3 sentences. No corporate speak, no buzzwords. We're building Anchor because we believe project management should feel helpful, not overwhelming. We're not ready to share details yet, but when we are, we'll do it on our terms. Thanks for your patience. Sophie posted it on Ethan's dormant social media accounts. The response was immediate. Some people loved it, called it refreshing, authentic. Others criticized it, said it was vague, arrogant. Ethan read the comments for 5 minutes, then closed his laptop. This is why I stayed quiet, he said. Yeah, and look how well that worked, Lena said. At least now they're talking about what we're doing instead of speculating. They're still speculating. Let them. We know what we're building. Over the next week, the noise died down. The article faded from the front page. New stories took its place. But the damage was done in other ways. Traffic to their holding page spiked. People signed up for the beta waitlist in droves. Suddenly, they had 5,000 people expecting something they weren't ready to deliver. This is a problem, Sophie said, staring at the analytics dashboard. Why? Marco asked. Demand is good. Not when we're 2 months from beta. People are going to expect perfection. Then we give them perfection. Lena shook her head. We give them something real, bugs and all. We call it what it is. A beta. A work in progress. That's risky, Sophie said. Everything's risky. But honesty buys goodwill. Overpromising doesn't. Ethan, who'd been quiet through the whole exchange, finally spoke. Lena's right. We launch when we said we would. We're transparent about what works and what doesn't, and we build in public. Marco frowned. Build in public? That's terrifying. It's also how we stay accountable. What if people hate it? Then we listen and improve. That's the whole point. They agreed, reluctantly. Lena spent the next month refining every detail. Colors, spacing, interactions. She tested the app obsessively, sent it to friends, asked strangers in coffee shops to try it. Most of the feedback was positive, some wasn't. This button feels too small. I don't understand what this icon means. Can you add dark mode? She took notes, made adjustments, iterated. Slowly the product improved, but the pressure mounted. Lena started working 12-hour days, then 14. She'd wake up at 5 to squeeze in client work before heading to the office. She'd stay late tweaking designs. She stopped going to Central Perk, stopped cooking real meals, lived on coffee and takeout and the adrenaline of knowing they were close. Ethan noticed. You're burning out, he said one evening when everyone else had left. I'm fine. You're not. I've seen this before, in myself. I just want it to be good. It already is. You're chasing perfect. That's a trap, says the guy who built a billion-dollar company, says the guy who almost destroyed himself doing it. Don't make my mistakes, Lena. She looked at him, saw the genuine concern. I don't know how to stop, she admitted. Start small. Go home before 9, eat a real meal, sleep. What if we miss the deadline? Then we push it back. The product matters more than the timeline. Lena wanted to argue, but she was so tired, so worn down. Okay, she said. I'll try. That night, she left at 8:30, went home, made pasta, ate it slowly, went to bed at a reasonable hour. She slept 10 hours straight. The next morning, she felt almost human. Work continued. The deadline approached. 2 weeks before launch, Ethan called a team meeting. I want to show you something, he said. He pulled up the beta version on the screen, opened a project, added a task, dragged it across the board. It moved smoothly, intuitively. This, he said, is what we set out to build. A tool that doesn't get in your way, that helps without micromanaging, that treats users like people. He looked at Lena. You did that. You made this feel human. We all did, Lena said. No, you led this. Own it. She felt her throat tighten. Sophie grinned. Speech? Absolutely not. Come on, we're launching in 2 weeks. You're allowed to feel proud. Lena looked at the screen, at the thing she'd poured herself into. I am proud, she said quietly. Terrified, but proud. Good, Ethan said. Because we're going to succeed or fail together, and either way, we did something real. Marco raised his coffee cup. To doing something real. They all clinked cups. It was a small moment, unremarkable, but Lena knew she'd remember it forever. Launch day arrived on a Tuesday. They'd planned a soft release, no big announcement, just activating the beta and sending invites to the wait list. Lena barely slept the night before. She kept checking her phone, refreshing analytics, watching the numbers. At 6 a.m., they flipped the switch. By noon, 200 people had signed up. By 5 p.m., 1,000. The feedback started rolling in almost immediately. Some loved it, called it exactly what they'd been looking for. Others found bugs, missing features, rough edges. Lena read every comment, every review, every piece of feedback. Some stung. This is just another task manager. What's the point? The UI is too simple. Where are the advanced features? Tried it for 10 minutes, uninstalled, not impressed. But others gave her hope. Finally, a tool that doesn't make me feel stupid. I set up my entire freelance workflow in under an hour. This is brilliant. Simple doesn't mean basic. This is exactly what I needed. Ethan found her at her desk at 7 p.m., scrolling through comments. You need to stop reading those, he said. I can't. Yes, you can. Step away. What if we miss something critical? Then we'll fix it tomorrow. Tonight, we celebrate. Celebrate what? We have 1,000 users and 100 bug reports. We have 1,000 users. That's 1,000 people who believed in what we built. That's worth celebrating. Lena looked at him, saw the exhaustion, the relief, the quiet pride. Okay, she said. Where? Central Perk, where else? They walked to the cafe together. Sophie and Marco joined them. They ordered too much food and sat at the table where it all started. To anchor, Sophie said, raising her coffee. To taking risks, Marco added. Lena looked at Ethan. He was smiling, really smiling. To kindness, she said, and the people who notice it. They drank, and for the first time in months, Lena felt something other than fear or doubt or exhaustion. She felt like she belonged. The celebration at Central Perk didn't last long. By 9, Sophie had to get home to her kids. Marco left to meet friends. Ethan and Lena stayed, nursing cold coffee and watching the user count climb on their phones. 1,000 became 1,500, then 2,000. We should go home, Ethan said, but neither of them moved. 5 more minutes, Lena said. They sat in the same chairs where they'd met 2 months ago. The cafe had changed its seasonal menu. New pastries in the display case, different music playing overhead, but the table felt the same, familiar. You know what's weird? Lena said. What? I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. Something will go wrong. That's guaranteed. Thanks. Very reassuring. I'm serious. We'll have outages, angry users, features that don't work. The question isn't if we'll face problems. It's how we handle them. Lena looked at him. And how do we handle them? Honestly, quickly, together. That's it? That's everything. Her phone buzzed. An email from Rachel at Bloom Fitness. Saw you launch something new. Congrats! You're going to change the world. Lena smiled. My first client just sent me a congratulations email. That's nice. It is. She didn't have to do that. People remember kindness. You were kind to her. She's returning it. I just did my job. You did more than that. You cared. Lena's phone buzzed again. This time, an unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello? Lena Nguyen? Yes? This is Jessica Tran from Horizon Magazine. We're doing a feature on emerging tech companies and we'd love to include Anchor. Can we schedule an interview? Lena's eyes went wide. She looked at Ethan, panicked. He mouthed, speaker. She put the call on speaker. I'm not sure I'm the right person for that, Lena said. You're the lead designer, correct? We want to talk about the creative vision behind the product. Can you give me a minute? I'm with my team. Of course, I'll hold. Lena muted the call. What do I do? Do you want to do it? Ethan asked. I don't know. I've never done an interview. Then this is a good time to start. What if I say something stupid? You won't. You don't know that. I know you care about what we built. Just talk about that. The rest will follow. Lena unmuted the call. Okay, I'll do it. They scheduled the interview for the following week. After the call ended, Lena stared at her phone like it had betrayed her. I can't believe I just agreed to that. You'll be great. I'm going to throw up. Not on the table, please. They just cleaned. She laughed despite the anxiety twisting in her stomach. They finally left the cafe around 10. Outside, the city had settled into its nighttime rhythm. Fewer cars. Quieter streets. The air was cold but not unbearable. You want to share a cab? Ethan asked. I'm taking the bus. I'll pay for the cab. I can afford a cab now, actually. I just like the bus. Why? Reminds me I'm still normal. You were always normal. You know what I mean? They stood on the sidewalk, neither quite ready to leave. Ethan, Lena said. Yeah? Thank you. For all of this, for taking a chance on me. I didn't take a chance. I made a bet. And I was right. Still. You're welcome. A cab pulled up. Ethan opened the door. Go home, sleep. Tomorrow we do it all again. Can't wait. She got in the cab, watched him through the window as they pulled away. He stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, looking smaller and more human than she'd ever seen him. The next 3 months were chaos. Anchor grew faster than any of them expected. 5,000 users became 10,000, then 20. Feature requests poured in. Bug reports multiplied. The server crashed twice in the first month. Marco worked 16-hour days fixing infrastructure. Sophie built out customer support almost single-handedly. Ethan handled the business side, negotiations with hosting providers, legal compliance, the 1,000 invisible things that kept a company running. Lena designed, and designed, and designed. Every new feature needed an interface. Every bug fix required visual updates. Users wanted customization options. Dark mode, different color schemes, accessibility features. She gave them everything she could, but the workload was crushing. One night, she stayed at the office until 2 a.m. finishing a redesign of the notifications panel. When she finally got home, she collapsed on her couch, still wearing her coat. Her phone woke her at 6, Sophie calling. "We have a problem," Sophie said. Lena sat up, head pounding. "What kind of problem?" A user posted a thread on social media saying Anchor deletes tasks randomly. It's going viral. Does it? Marco's investigating, but we need a response. Now. I'm on my way. Lena didn't shower, didn't eat, just grabbed her laptop and ran. By the time she reached the office, Ethan and Marco were already deep in the code, tracing the bug. "What's happening?" Lena asked. "There's an edge case we didn't catch," Marco said, not looking up from his screen. "If a user drags a task between boards during a sync, it can get orphaned. Doesn't delete, just disappears from the UI. How many people are affected?" "Maybe 200 out of 20,000. But it's bad." "Can we fix it?" "Already on it. I need 2 hours." Ethan stood. "Lena, Sophie, we need to draft a response. Acknowledge the bug. Give a timeline. Reassure users." They worked together, crafting a statement that was honest without being defensive. "We found a bug affecting task visibility during sync operations. We're fixing it right now and expect a patch within 2 hours. We're sorry. This is exactly the kind of issue beta testing is supposed to catch, and we missed it. Thank you for your patience." Sophie posted it across all channels. The response was mixed. Some users appreciated the honesty. Others were furious. A few uninstalled immediately. Lena watched the uninstall count tick upward and felt sick. "Don't watch that," Ethan said quietly. "How can I not?" "Because it doesn't help. We fix the problem. We learn from it. We move forward." "What if this kills us?" "It won't." "You don't know that." "No, but I know we're doing everything right. That has to be enough." Marco deployed the fix 90 minutes later. The bug disappeared. Most users reinstalled, but the damage to their reputation lingered. For days, Lena obsessed over the incident, read every comment, every review, every criticism. Ethan found her at her desk one evening, eyes red from staring at her screen. "Go home," he said. "I'm working. You're torturing yourself. I need to make sure this doesn't happen again." "It will happen again. Different bug, same panic. That's how this works." "Then what's the point?" Ethan pulled up a chair, sat beside her. "The point is that we keep showing up. We keep improving. We keep treating users like they matter. That's all we can do." "It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. But it is." Lena finally closed her laptop. "How do you stay sane through this?" "I don't. I just keep moving forward." "That's bleak." "That's honest." She looked at him, really looked, saw the exhaustion carved into his face, the weight he carried. "Are you okay?" she asked. He was quiet for a moment. "I have Emma this week," he said, "and I've been so buried in this that I missed her recital yesterday." "Ethan, I promised myself I wouldn't do this again, wouldn't let work consume everything. And here I am, making the same mistakes." "You're not. This is different." "Is it?" "Because it feels the same." Lena didn't have an answer. "Go home," she said. "Spend tomorrow with Emma. We'll manage." "I can't just—" "Yes, you can. The company won't fall apart if you take a day. But your relationship with your daughter might if you keep missing the important things." Ethan looked at her, nodded slowly. "Okay, one day." "Good." He left. Lena stayed another hour, then forced herself to leave. The next day, the office felt strange without Ethan. Quieter, less certain. But they managed. Marco fixed 2 more bugs. Sophie onboarded 50 new users. Lena finished a feature redesign. At 5 p.m., Ethan sent a photo to the team chat. It was him and Emma at a park. She was on a swing, midair, laughing. Ethan was pushing her, smiling wider than Lena had ever seen. Needed this. Thanks for the push. Sophie responded with a heart emoji. Marco sent back, about time. Lena typed, see? The world didn't end. Not yet, anyway, Ethan replied. That night, Lena went back to Central Perk for the first time in weeks. She ordered her usual coffee, sat at a different table because theirs was taken. The cafe felt both familiar and foreign, like returning to a place you'd outgrown. She opened her laptop, checked the Anchor dashboard. 23,000 users now. Growth had slowed after the bug, but it was steady. Lena? She looked up. Madison stood there. No designer coat this time, just jeans and a sweater. She looked tired. Hi, Lena said carefully. Can I sit? Sure. Madison sat down across from her, hands wrapped around her coffee cup. I saw the article about Anchor, Madison said, in Horizon magazine. Oh, yeah, that came out last week. I read the whole thing. The interview you did was really good. Lena blinked. Thanks. I also saw you're doing well. 20,000 users. That's impressive. 23,000 as of today. Madison smiled. Small, genuine. Even more impressive. They sat in awkward silence. Look, Madison said finally. I owe you an apology. Lena set down her coffee. For what? For being awful to you. Every time I saw you, I said something condescending or dismissive, and you didn't deserve that. Why did you do it? Madison looked down at her cup. Because you scared me. Scared you? How? You were doing something I was too afraid to do, taking risks, building something. I took the safe route. Steady paycheck, impressive title. But I hate it. I hate my boss. I hate the work. And seeing you struggle made me feel better about my choices, which is pathetic. Lena didn't know what to say. I'm leaving Carter and Klein, Madison continued. Gave my notice last week. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Maybe freelance, maybe start something. I just know I can't keep pretending I'm happy in a job that's killing my soul. That's brave. That's terrifying. But watching what you built gave me permission to try. Lena felt something soften in her chest. Not quite forgiveness, but understanding. If you need advice, Lena said slowly, or just someone to talk to who gets it, I'm around. Madison looked up. Really? Really? This industry is hard enough without tearing each other down. Thank you. They talked for another hour, about freelancing, about fear, about the gap between who you are and who you thought you'd be. When Madison finally left, Lena felt lighter, like maybe people could change, even the ones who'd hurt you. The months that followed weren't perfect. Anchor grew, 50,000 users, then 100,000. They hired 3 more people, moved to a bigger office, started generating actual revenue. But growth brought new problems. Users demanded features that contradicted the original vision. Competitors emerged, cloning their design. Investors started reaching out, offering money in exchange for control. Ethan turned them all down. We're profitable, he said during a team meeting. We don't need outside money, and the second we take it, we lose the ability to build what we want. But we could scale faster, Marco argued. Scale to what? A bloated product nobody recognizes? I did that once, not doing it again. They stayed independent. It was harder, slower, but it felt right. One afternoon, 6 months after launch, Lena was working when Ethan knocked on her desk. Come with me, he said. Where? You'll see. They walked to Central Perk. The cafe was crowded, but their table was empty. There was a small brass plaque attached to the table now. It read, Reserved for kind people. Lena stared at it. You did this? I talked to the owner, made a donation, told him this table changed my life. He thought I was crazy, but he agreed. Ethan, sit. They sat. Ethan pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. What's this? Lena asked. Your new title, Creative Director. 20% equity in the company. Official partner, not just employee. Lena opened the folder, saw the paperwork, the numbers. Her hands started shaking. This is too much. It's what you've earned. I've been here 6 months. And you've shaped every part of this company, the product, the culture, the values. You're not just a designer, Lena. You're the reason Anchor feels human. I don't know what to say. Say yes. She looked at the plaque on the table, at the man across from her who'd started as a stranger and become something more. Not quite a friend, not quite a mentor, something in between. Yes, she said. Ethan smiled. Good. Now sign the papers so we can celebrate. She signed. They ordered too much food and talked about the future, about scaling without losing their soul, about building something sustainable, about the balance between growth and purpose. I've been thinking, Ethan said, about the next phase. What next phase? Right now we help people organize their work. But what if we help them find work? Connected freelancers with clients, built a marketplace. Lena considered it. That's ambitious. So was this. True. I want your honest opinion. Is it mission drift or mission expansion? Lena thought about her first month's freelancing, the desperation, the cold outreach, the clients who ghosted. It's expansion, she said, but only if we do it right. No algorithms favoring people who can pay more. No exploitative fees, just connecting good people with good work. Exactly. When do you want to start? Not yet. We stabilize Anchor first, make sure it runs without us holding it together. Then we build the next thing. You're already thinking 3 steps ahead. Someone has to. What about Emma and balance and all the things you said you wanted? Ethan smiled. I have balance now. I make it to her recitals. We have dinner together. I'm not perfect, but I'm present. That's what matters. Good. They finished their meal as the sun set outside the windows. The cafe started to empty. The baristas began closing routines. You know what's funny? Lena said. What? 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. I was broke, desperate, convinced I'd failed. And now? Now I'm building something I actually believe in, with people I respect, making enough money to breathe. It's not perfect, but it's mine. That's all anyone can ask for. Is it enough for you? Ethan looked around the cafe, at the table with the plaque, at the space where everything had changed. Yeah, he said. It is. They left together as the cafe closed. Outside, the city moved around them, people rushing home, taxis honking, the endless noise of life happening. Same time tomorrow? Lena asked. Probably earlier. Marco wants to review the back-end architecture. Of course he does. They walked in opposite directions. Lena toward the bus stop, Ethan toward his apartment. Halfway down the block, Lena turned back. Ethan! He stopped, turned. Thank you, she called. For everything. He smiled, waved, kept walking. Lena stood there for a moment, watching him disappear into the crowd. Then she pulled out her phone and texted Rachel. You were right. I did change the world. Or at least a small part of it. Rachel responded immediately. Told you. Proud of you. Lena smiled. Caught her bus home. Spent the evening sketching ideas for the next feature. For the next phase. For the future they were building one decision at a time. And when she finally went to bed that night, she didn't lie awake worrying. She slept. Because for the first time in her life, Lena Nguyen wasn't waiting for permission to succeed. She was already succeeding, not because of luck, not because of connections, but because once, on a crowded Monday morning, she'd said yes to a stranger who needed a seat, and that one small act of kindness had changed everything. Not overnight, not perfectly, but completely. Because in the end, it wasn't about the money or the success or the recognition. It was about the moment you stop believing you're not enough and start building like you are. That's where everything changes. That's where life begins.